if you could do something that would make you feel less anxious about your upcoming exams, would you be interested? Well, if you are, I'm going to show you something that may be a little bit silly, but if you follow along with me, you may just find that you don't feel as anxious about your upcoming exams. Okay. So when you think about your upcoming exams, what is it that makes you anxious? Is it the thought of being in the exam room? Or is it all those questions laid out in front of you? Or is it that you feel you haven't studied enough? That you just don't know? But you don't know what you know till you see those questions. Until you read through all those questions. So as you think about what makes you feel anxious about taking those exams, what I want you to do is I want you to measure on a scale of 0 to 10 what number pops to mind of how much anxiety you feel about taking those exams. Now, whatever number pops into your head is the right answer. It's a bit like this voice in your mind, the one that's nagging away, telling you to feel fearful about your exams. That same voice will give you a number 0 to 10 of how much anxiety you feel about taking those exams. So with that number, we're going to do something that looks alien, silly. However, if you want to change how you feel about that anxiety, give this a go. A few minutes time to take away most or all of that anxiety. So here we go. With that number you have of anxiety about those exams, I want you to begin tapping along here with me and saying out loud what I'm saying. Just because I have that number of anxiety about taking those exams, I'm okay now. Just because I have that number of taking those exams, I'm okay now. Just because I have that number of anxiety of taking those exams, I'm okay now. Now continue saying what I'm saying while doing exactly what I'm doing. Taking those exams. 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 Take a deep breath in. And release that now. All right. Now what I'd like you to do is think about taking those exams again and what it is that makes you feel anxious about taking those exams. Measure once again 0 to 10 what number pops to mind of anxiety about taking those exams. And with that number, let's continue. Just because I still have that number of anxiety about taking those exams, I am okay. Just because I still have that number of anxiety about taking those exams, I am okay. Just because I still have that number of taking those exams, I am okay. That number of anxiety, 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 that number of anxiety. Take a deep breath in and release that now. Once again, I want you to think about taking those exams and what makes you feel anxious about taking those exams. 0 to 10, what number pops to mind of remaining anxiety you have about taking those exams? All right, now with that number, tapping along with me, just because I have that remaining number of anxiety, I am okay. Just because I have that remaining number of anxiety, I am okay. Just because I have that remaining number of anxiety, I'm okay. That remaining number, 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 that remaining number. Take a deep breath in. Release that now. And as you continue to think about taking those exams, I want you to begin tapping here between the little finger and ring finger down in here. And I want you to, without moving your head, look down at the floor and slowly roll your eyes up while tapping up to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. Think again about taking those exams as you exhale. And notice what's changed. And hopefully you feel a little less anxious about taking those exams. And if you didn't get this right the first time, just go back to the beginning of the video and give it one more try.